Tá gravando, vamos lá. Espelhar minha telinha. Pronto. Tá vendo? Tudo bem. Só uma pergunta antes de a gente começar a aula. Eu queria saber se você se sente confortável em fazer as aulas em inglês ou se você prefere em português. Como é que tá o seu ritmo, assim, de inglês? Tudo bem. Vou começar então. Welcome to our first class. My name is Vivian. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit and then I'm going to talk about how the subject is going to work, the whole dynamic of the course. So, to begin with, my name is Vivian. I am 21. I'm from Rio de Janeiro. And as you already know, I'm almost graduating in physics. And I guess that's pretty much what I have to talk about. I will talk about how everything's gonna work. So every lesson will have a keyword, and don't worry, the keyword is written on the presentation. It's in the end of the presentation because I think it's easier for the students to find it. And I already explained you how to tell me the keyword, and you already know about my 10-minute tolerance policy. And that's pretty much it. We have an absence limit. You can skip about 12 classes, and if you skip more than that, you're going to fail the course. But if you're having any personal issues, it's completely fine. You can talk to me, and we'll talk to the head of the course, and we can figure everything out. So that's pretty much it. In this course, I'm planning to work a lot with all the four competences of English, which are writing, speaking, listening, and reading, because I feel like it's really important to work all of that. So expect a lot of homework coming from me, but don't worry, I will always help you in case you have any doubt. So I think that's pretty much it. If you have any doubts, you can talk to me. But first, I would like you to introduce yourself to me, tell me a little bit more about yourself. What are your expectations on the course? Yes. Master degree. Mm-hmm. Scholarship in France. Mm-hmm. Nice. That's all that matters. Great. So today we're going to work with past perfect. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Are you? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. So it's great that you already know about past perfect. I think that will make things easier for today's class. So when I was making this presentation, I figured I would make the presentation in Portuguese because I feel like that for some people it might be easier to study, to capture the knowledge when it's in your mother tongue. So I think it will be easier. But if you're comfortable with everything really being in English, you can tell me. So I can make classes in English. Yeah, the slides. So, okay. Moving on. Past perfect is basically used to describe an action or an event that happened in the past or before a specific time in the past. So, as you may know, two or more actions that happened one before the other. So, we have this classical example here. I had already cleaned the house when my mother arrived, which means when my mother arrived, I had already cleaned the house. There isn't much really to see. It is a rather easy past tense. So, but anyways, I think it's really important to know how to identify what happened first. I'm not sure how familiar you are with past perfect, but it's always good to go through these concepts. So here we have this phrase, which is Namjoon had started his lecture when my phone rang. So we can basically split this sentence into other two sentences. So the first sentence is Namjoon had started. So when we analyze this sentence, we know that it's in the past perfect. It's really in the raw form of past perfect, which is you have the simple past of the verb have, which is had, an auxiliary verb, plus the participle of the principal verb, which is started. So whenever you're analyzing a sentence and you have like a doubt on whether that happened before or after the second phrase, you basically just look for the auxiliary verb, which is mostly had, and it will be pretty easy to find it since the second sentence is only in simple past. My phone rang. There isn't an auxiliary verb. So the actions in past perfect, they always happen first. Did you understand? Do you have any doubts? Is everything okay with that? Great. Now, there is something I would like to talk about participio. So here in the previous slide, we saw that we use the participle in the principal verb. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's basically how the verb is going to flex in different time tenses, yeah, tempos verbais. So how it's going to change. So we have two types of verbs. We have regular verbs and irregular verbs. The regular ones follow specific rules, but the irregular ones, they just have their own rules. We have an example here, the past of dance, which is danced, and the past of go, which is gone. And it's just something you have to pay attention, but I'm pretty sure you already know it because I feel like it's something you can work a lot with your intuition. But in case you have like any doubts, it's completely fine because we can go through it whenever, but it's just not what we're going to focus on right now. So we have basically three types of forms of past perfect. We have the affirmative form, the negative, and the interrogative. So the affirmative form, I think it's the easiest one, which its structure, it's basically the subject plus the auxiliary verb plus the principal verb in the past participle and the complement. So we have this sentence here. I would like you to read the sentence if possible, please. It's Wonyon. Yeah, sure. Great. So I think it's a pretty simple structure. And it's just like and I think you may like step on when you're reading something, which is we can contract the auxiliary verb. I'm pretty sure you have already seen that, since nowadays almost no one uses like had in the non-contracted form. So in the contracted form, I plus had would be I'd, you plus had would be you'd. I think it's something we're all really familiar with, but I just thought it would be useful to bring that up in case someone didn't know about it. Now, moving on, we have. Sure, you can speak. Mm. Sure. Okay, so let's take for instance, we have a sentence like, um, let me see. I Jesus, I just can't find an example, but you basically just say I'd, you'd, he'd, she'd. It's like this D, you know? Like, let's see. I didn't know she'd done this. I didn't know she had done this. Yeah. So don't be afraid to pronunciate the D because people will understand, you know? So it's pretty much just pronouncing the D. I'd, you'd, he'd, she'd, it, we'd, they'd. I think the it is the strangest one, but it's also very unusual, you know, in the spoken language. So do you have any other doubts? Okay. Oh, just something to add on. Um, like when you hear a sentence like, I'd like to say this, it's not had, you know, it's I would like to say this. So just pay attention, like in the context of the sentence, so you don't mistake had for would. Is that okay? Sure. So, moving on to the next two forms, we have the negative form and the interrogative form. So, basically, the negative form is pretty much the same as the positive, but the difference is that you add not to the verb had. So, I would like you to read this example, please. Sure. Just a little comment. When you're the verb read, when you're talking about it in the past, is read. So read is in a like sort of the present, and read is in the past. So this sentence would be, I had not read Namjoon's book last week. Okay? Sure. So basically, there isn't much to say about that either. And now moving on to the interrogative form, we have a major alteration, which is the verb had is going to be in the first place before the subject. So that's pretty much the big change we have here. So the sentence will be, had they finished their album last month? Had Jin eaten before the concert started? So whenever you want to ask something in the past perfect, you're going to put the verb have in the simple past, which is had, before everything. It's going to be the first thing in the sentence. Okay? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in this sentence, it doesn't apply. I can go further into that, um, like in the end of the class, if you want to. But there are many forms. The verb eat um, manifests itself. So, but in this specific sentence, it will be eaten because you're asking like a question. For example, if you're not using the past perfect, it will be like, did she eat? So ate is like in another constant, in another circumstance, like she ate nothing, you know. But when you're in the interrogative form, you're going to use this specific I forgot the word in English, but conjugação. Does that make sense? Okay. But we have another a reminder here that we have the question words. If you're not familiar with them, they are why, when, which, who, where. Whenever you want to know a specific time, specific place, specific object, or reason, you use those question words. So when we use them, we have this alteration, which we put the question word before the auxiliary verb. So basically, it's just another thing that comes at the beginning of the sentence. So the structure is going to be the question word, the verb had, subject, the principal verb, and the complement. So who had J-Hope seen last week? It's basically that. Do you have any questions? Okay. Now we have another type of past perfect. Before we were seeing the past perfect simple, and now we're seeing the continuous past perfect. So basically, the major difference is that we're going to refer to unfinished businesses. So the main alteration is that we have the auxiliary verb here after the subject, and we put been, and then the ing form or gerúndio of the principal verb. So here in this sentence, we can see Chu had been taking singing lessons for 3 months. So it's something that was like happening. It's not an action that finished. Like for example, in let's see. In this example here, Won Young had left the party when Liz arrived. What you understand from this sentence is that all of those things happened in a specific time span, and they were just done. They were things that happened once. It was not something that was happening for a while. Does that make sense? While in the continuous form, it was something that occurred for like a long time. So Chu had been taking singing lessons for 3 months. It will be different if like Chu took one class in one day and she never did it again. It's different. So in the past perfect continuous, we're going to be working with things that happened in a determinate time span. So just like the other the previous perfect past perfect we worked with, the simple, this version has also the negative form and the interrogative form. So the only difference, it's pretty much the same logic. You put the word not after the auxiliary verb. which is had. So, Chu had not been taking singing lessons for 3 months. Chu, and in the interrogative, you have the same logic, in which consists of putting the auxiliary verb before everything else. So had Chu been taking singing lessons for 3 months. So it's basically pretty much the same logic as past perfect simple, but it's something continuous, it's something that happened for a long time, or maybe a short time, but it happened, like it repeated. So, but the logic for the negative and interrogative form is pretty much the same. In the negative, you add the word not, and in the interrogative, you add the word had before anything else. So, is that clear? Do you have any doubts? Mm-hmm. Has. Okay, so here, when we say had, we are referring to something that is pretty much dead in the past. It's something that happened in the past and ended in the past. But for example, if we're asking, has Chu been taking singing lessons for 3 months? It's something that started in the past, but I'm asking in this example if it's still happening. So when I say has Chu been taking singing lessons for 3 months, I'm asking if 3 months ago she started taking singing lessons, and let's suppose we're still in this 3 months time span, and it's happening. It's something that's been happening. But when we say had, it's something that happened in the past. Like it's not happening anymore. It was happening for a certain time, but it ended in the past. Is that clear, or do you still have any doubts? Yeah, so basically, the main idea you have to focus is on whether it's still happening or not, you know? So I understand that using the ing form sometimes is a little bit confusing, but that's pretty much it. If you still have like a doubt, it's okay, I can explain. Is everything okay? Did you understand? Sure. So that was pretty much everything I had for today, because our course is going to be pretty long, you know. So we do have a lot of Jesus, what's that? We have a lot of subjects, but we have a lot of time. But I'm still having some homework for you. So, first of all, the keyword is this one. And one thing I would like to explain about the keyword is that each class I'm going to give a keyword that has that is unusual. It's not a word you see every day. And I would like you to search into the meaning of the word. And anyways, it's just something to add to your vocabulary. So, if you want, you can already write the keyword for me, because I can put it in the presence list. And now for homework, I'm going to give you the workbook, and the workbook has exercises for each chapter. So for now, for next week, I would like you to do the exercises of chapter 1, and I would also like you to write a paragraph about yourself. It can be as long as you want to, and you can send it to me here in this channel, Atividades, Provas. So you can send a paragraph. And in case you don't feel comfortable with sending here, in case you don't feel comfortable with another person seeing it, you can send to my private chat. It's okay. Or you can send here in chamada because no one else can see it, only me. So that's pretty much what we have for this class. These exercises and the paragraph, you can send them to me in the next Friday because Monday will be a recorded class and it would probably won't have any homework since I'm already giving you 2 homeworks today. So you have 1 week to do it, and in case you have any doubts, do you already know how to post the doubts you have? Sarah? You are? Do you know how to post the doubts you have? No. In case you have a doubt, are you seeing the screen? This channel called Dúvidas? You can just go here and write a post, and you can write whatever's bothering you, what you don't know, and I will answer you here. So that's pretty much it. So do you have any doubts? Do you have anything else you would like to add? Yeah, I will. Yes, yes. Yeah, I will. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, sure. So that's it for today. Thank you for showing up, and I hope you liked the class. And I think that's it. If you, I will launch the next class in Monday, but it's going to be recorded, so you can find it in the aulas gravadas, né, no canal das aulas gravadas. E aí, segunda-feira às 7 horas eu vou postar lá a aula gravada de segunda. Então, recapitulando, os deveres de casa são o capítulo 1 do workbook, que eu vou postar para você. E escrever esse parágrafo. Você pode me mandar no canal das atividades e provas. E, enfim, é isso. Tudo bem, então. Se você tiver qualquer dúvida, é só me acionar aqui no Discord mesmo. Ou você pode mandar. Eu vou botar os slides da aula também, se você quiser mandar por e-mail. Ou se você quiser postar no canal de dúvidas, pode ficar à vontade, tá bom? Isso. Vai estar tudo ali. Beleza? Eu que agradeço. Nada, boa noite. Tchau, tchau. Até semana que vem.